Today is June 21st, 2024. This is Coffee with Community Services, Alta California Regional Center's weekly service provider meeting. Can everyone hear me okay? We were having some fun with our Microsoft Teams this morning, but hopefully no issues with Zoom here in the office. Um, we are going to do some introductions and get into our agenda. Um, let's see. Today on, I see we have Rhonda and Melinda on. Good morning from Community Services. And I see Marty is on. Good morning, Marty. And our Client Services Manager, Dana, is on. Good morning, Dana. And I see Alejandra and Tom and Zach from Community Services. And our Quality Assurance and Compliance Manager, Scott, is on. And Belinda is on as well. Good morning, Belinda. And our Director of Clinical and Intake Services, Camelia, is on, and she'll be on our agenda later as well. And let's see, I see Christy and Christine from Community Services. Good morning. And our manager, Helen, is on. Good morning, Helen. And our lead community services specialist, Jason, is here. Good morning, Jason. And our deaf and hard of hearing specialist, Michael, is on, and you will hear from Michael shortly. And good morning to, I see Beverly from Community Services and Jessica as well. Good morning, Beverly and Jessica. And Sydney, and hello, Alicia, our ever-present HCBS specialist. And hello, Yvette. Good morning. I see Yvette is on too. Good morning, Yvette. And our Associate Client Services Director, Faye, is on. Good morning, Faye. And Adriana, let's see, we have Michelle Johnson, our Director of Client Services. Good morning, Michelle Johnson. And let's see, I see Hubert on and Shamir as well this morning. Good morning as well to you guys. And then Toby from Client Services and Jaslyn as well. Hello, Jaslyn for Community Services and Ethan too. So good to see so many folks here for our agenda today. We're going to start off with Michael and our uh, sign of the week and Deaf Culture 101. We're going to do an update from HCBS for with Scott. And then Hubert, are you in front of a computer? Are you able to share your screen if we wanted you to share your screen with this? Oh, you are perfect. Then I'm going to make you a co-host as well. And we'll hear from Hubert real quickly as those of us that have watch duty have just been watching these little fires pop up this last week all over our area. So we'll hear from Hubert. We have an update about rollover for everyone. Some of you are aware that our purchases roll over to the new year. Some of you are newer service providers. So we just want to talk about rollover a little bit and what you can expect over the next couple weeks as it relates to that. We will give you no budget update. No, yeah, nothing really. But we'll talk about the fact that we have nothing. A rate study update. We have a little bit more information. We'll talk with you about the rate study a little bit. We have we are plugging people to participate in the master plan work group. So we're going to talk about the master plan for developmental services briefly. We have upcoming DDS things, the employment work groups coming up. We're going to update you about our newsletter. We are going to talk about some of our upcoming Alta events. Camelia is speaking of that, and our Director of Intake and Clinical Services, Camelia, will be sharing about an upcoming event in July. And then let's see. Oh, I saw Beverly is on here. So Beverly, we also have a vendor forum coming up, and so we'll mention about our upcoming vendor forum that we're going to be doing on August 27th as well. Cool. All right, we're gonna get it all done by 11:30 today. That's the plan for the agenda. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna throw it over to Michael first, please. Take it away.
Hello, everyone out there. Good morning. So now I'm going to take I know we talked about the fire, so now we're talking about the sign of the week. So these are two really important emergency related words. Fire, and the second word will be earthquake. Those are our two terms for today. So with fire, you start with your palms out, fingers spread, facing you, and the fingers kind of wiggle and your hands moving like a circular motion. That's fire. And that's important because we're talking about fires popping up all over the place now. So that's going to be an important one. So we might need to warn the deaf and hard of hearing community about any local fires. Second term is earthquake. And that one's a little bit tricky to sign. So the first part is going to be using your hands. Use your dominant hand. That depends on what hand you write with. So use that hand first, palm out, The other hand is going to be like a fist hand shape. So use that dominant hand to go on top to touch the fist like this, because your fist represents the planet. And then your dominant hand kind of is doing the shaking. And this is the quake part. So that's Earth, this is the quake. And together it's this first part here, Earth, and then quake with two fists going side to side like this. Together, that's earthquake. So now let's do those two signs again. This is fire. And then this is earthquake. Great. All right. And I'll take a moment to discuss the Deaf Culture one-on-one tidbit. If you've ever wondered if deaf or hard of hearing people go to watch movies, they go to the theater, how can they enjoy a movie? Do they have captions? Or if you've ever thought that, I'll let you know that we do have two different options for captions. One is closed captioning, the other is open captioning. So those are both available in theaters. And so now I'll kind of discuss which one might be the best choice. And what we see standardized is the closed captioning using devices or equipment. And that might look like, well, they've got two that are the most prevalent. That might look like the glasses that someone might put on, and inside the lens of those glasses, they have like a reflection where you can see those captions. And the second is something that sits in the cup holder. You place that device in the cup holder. It's kind of metal, snakes out in front of you. You can kind of wiggle it so that you can position it in a way that might be easy for you to see the captions in the frame of the theater screen. So they're cool. They're nice, but they do have their difficulties, including the fact that they're not very stable. So if you've got those glasses on and you're trying to look at the movie and you make any kind of movement, it's sometimes those captions are kind of zooming in up close to your eyes, and it doesn't feel comfortable and easy to watch. And sometimes they're a little rough on the nose as well. And that metal piece that snakes out from the cup holder can sometimes be a little wobbly. It's weak in its foundation. So it's just not very stable. Those are the top two concerns that we have. Sometimes the captions will just kind of drop out of frame, or they're incorrect, or they're from another movie. They've put the captions from a different movie on screen. Sometimes you see them doubled up, so you're looking at them twice on screen. That can be hard to see. Sometimes the batteries will wear out on those devices and then you have nothing. So you're kind of left wondering what's going on. So you have to go out of the theater, ask for them to replace it. You're missing the movie. Sometimes it could be up to a group of people trying to access the movie. So everybody needs enough captions for everyone to see it. And they'll say, oh, we only have a limited number, so not everyone can see. And so that's one of the cons, a lot of the cons for the closed captioning. And they said there the value of them is about $40,000. So the deaf and hard of hearing community as a whole, we are trying to advocate for that open captioning. So what open captioning is when you're on screen, on the physical screen, we're all watching in the theater, the captions are there. And that's easy to see. We can all see that. It's easier for us to enjoy it instead of having to wear glasses or depend on that device that snakes up from the cup holder. So they really don't give us a lot of options when it comes to captioning. And the open captionings are usually during the day, during the midweek, during the work week. So that means many of us, we typically have school, we have jobs, other obligations. So we're not going to be able to go drop everything and go in the middle of the day during the week to see the open captioned option that they've provided. So, that movie Inside Out 2, that movie that just came out, really popular. I wanted to see that with open captions. So I looked for where they had that available, and the closest one is 40 miles from me. So that's the closest theater. So the options are very limited. There are two states that have passed a bill, though, that are requiring theaters to put those open captionings in theaters. And that would be the state of Hawaii and just recently the state of Maryland. Both passed a bill requiring that access in theaters. And it just means that if the movie theater has more than 8 screens available in total, they will be required to provide open captioning twice a week. So that's given us more options to be able to go and see the movies. And after, a movie has been released and been out for 3 weeks, deaf and hard of hearing at that point can ask, is there any available time for open captioning? They can ask for a specific time. And I think that is a great step for accessibility. Hopefully, those two states can influence the other states, the surrounding states, to provide that accessibility for us. And it's not just for the deaf and hard of hearing community. There are people who are learning English as a second language or who are just struggle to hear in general. They need that clarity. So hopefully that is going to influence the surrounding states, and we have the open captioning option. Also, it's free, so you don't have to buy these incredibly expensive devices that are external that have these issues anyway. So now I will put it out to you to have a link for that sign of the week if you want more practice with those two signs I showed you before. There it is in the chat.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Michael. All right. And this would be a great opportunity for us to do this is like a final plug for our deaf and hard of hearing vendor forum on Tuesday of next week. Melinda, I saw Melinda perk right up when I said that. So Melinda, would you mind just reminding folks what we got going on Tuesday?
Sure. So next week, Tuesday, we have our deaf and hard of hearing vendor forum. And as I mentioned last week, and I'll briefly recap this week, it is a time for all of the vendors to sign up to come on in person to learn about how to serve and support our deaf and hard of hearing clients in the community at large. And it's there on the screen right now in a screen share. If you go to our webpage and then you go to the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Vendor Forum, you can find it on the events calendar for next week, Tuesday on the 25th, would probably be the easiest way to find it. And there's a registration link embedded in the paragraph. So please do that. When you are registering, let me know if you have any accommodations, if you have any issues, if there's anything I need to be aware of. Because the entire point of this is to make me aware of your needs and your accessibility and to support you in every way that I possibly can. During this time, I will be the main lead, but Michael will also be joining me while we present to the community, and you will have an opportunity, many opportunities, to connect with other vendors. So we have a few agencies who like to identify themselves as specialists in this arena, and they will be introducing themselves. But we're also going to do a share, which means we will all be talking. And this is a very natural, collaborative conversation. It's not your typical sit in a seat like school and pay attention. The whole point of this is for all of us to talk, for all of us to have a conversation, so we can all have a better opportunity to support each other. And really, I'm hoping to see everyone there. Currently, we have 66 participants, and our registration closes at 100. So the closer to 100 I get, the more typical classroom seating it's going to look like with just how we have to set it up for 100 people. But there's a lot of mingle time. There's a lot of what I call think, pair, share, which means that we will be joining with each other and talking about all the topics addressed. And we will be reviewing pretty much anything you can think of. And that's also included in the registration form. You will have the opportunity to tell me specific questions that you would like to have addressed during that forum. And then also during the forum, of course, we will take live questions as we go. It's currently scheduled for 2 hours with about a half an hour afterwards for meet your neighbors, your other partners in this field, and then skedaddle and politely leave with all this contact information. And upon conclusion, I will be sending out a massive resource list of everything we cover, all of the notes of what's covered, and who attended, so agency-wise. So that way you know who your partners are instead of having to try to scribble down notes and make them yourself. So I hope everyone can come on out. I look forward to meeting all of you in person and having a conversation to support the deaf and hard of hearing community.
Thank you very much. I know we're all looking forward to that. Scott Barr.
All right. Well, we've got our HCBS update here. This week, we've jumped all the way up to 71.3%. We're looking at probably a really big week next week, and then it does slow down a little bit at the beginning of the week. So or the beginning of the month rather, because we're doing it's a cycle essentially. And so we're preparing for the visits and sealing up the ones that were completed. So you're going to start to see some pretty big jumps here. We've got 2 months left. On track for completing.
And that's the big thing. We want to make sure that we're on track, and very pleased to see where we are at as a regional center. And I think across the regional centers, overall, the regional centers are doing well and getting all of their activities done. So I know we got a good update from Alicia last week as well. Alrighty, let's see. I'm going to throw it over to Hubert if I can to talk a little bit about some of the fire and heat safety issues that we got going on.
Cool. Good morning, everyone. My name is Hubert Enriquez, Emergency Response Coordinator for Alta, California. So just to kind of touch things off, I'm going to share my screen here. Please let me know. Can you guys see what I'm seeing?
Not quite yet.
Oh, let me see here. All right, how about now? Cool. All right, so within our catchment area, we've had numerous fires, significant fires, rather. Luckily, no unmet needs reported at the moment. But just some resources I really wanted to kind of share with you with you guys. 2 resources is the Watch Duty Wildfire Map, and I'll drop these in the chat, and the Incidents CAL FIRE, where if you wanted to kind of keep updated with the current fires going on within your county or your area, you can do so by visiting these links. There we go. All right. And one thing I kind of wanted to go over is, as we've had multiple fires, especially the Sites Fire, which has reached 19,000 acres in Yuba County, is different evacuation levels. I'm not sure if everyone here knows about different evacuation levels. There's 3 levels to it. Level 1 being ready, level 2 being set, level 3 being go. So what level 1 is ready, a level 1 evacuation threat means it's time to start preparing. It's time to start reviewing your emergency plan if you have one, and kind of start identifying those evacuation routes. Make sure you have a plan in place to evacuate pets and livestock if you have any, and make sure that you have a go kit, an emergency go kit with essential survival supplies packed and ready to go. Level 1, if you have any children or any older adults, or individuals with disabilities within your household with limited access to transportation, level 1 is when you really should start considering leaving leaving your house or evacuating your house. So level 2 being set indicates that there is a substantial danger nearby. This is the point where you and your family should be ready to leave at any moment. And under this level, the emergency really is just less predictable. You may have time to gather the necessary items within your household before evacuating, but do so at your own risk. This is also why it's kind of really important, actually, to have a go kit ready, just to grab and go. And then level 3, being go now, means that there is immediate extreme danger in your area and that you must evacuate immediately. This is also the time where you should not be working to get organized. The time has passed at this point. So if you follow these 2 resources that I've dropped in the chat and you see the different levels, just keep in mind that each level means something different. Different areas of threats, different levels of threats. So yeah. So with that, I will move forward to our emergency preparedness page on the Alta California Regional Center website. It has been updated just as we enter the fire season, or we are in the middle of the fire season. The first one being Extreme Heat and Wildfire Bulletin provided by DDS. There's a bulletin that links you to multiple resources on extreme heat, how to stay cool, wildfire safety, etc. And it's available in Chinese, Spanish, Tagalog, and Vietnamese. Moving forward, we have just simple tips and tricks to stay safe during warm weather. Last time I spoke on Coffee with Community Services, I kind of spoke a little bit about this. And then a hot topic one is cooling centers. So under this, we could go here, and then we can click the Cal OES website. You can actually go by county and identify different cooling centers within your area. So if you or anyone that we support here at Alta California need access to different cooling centers within your county, this would be the webpage to do so and identify those. And then we have Office of Emergency Services if you needed to contact them or have emergency alerts signed up. Feeling safe, being safe for just general disaster planning. Power safety shutoffs for our medical baseline program. Project Safe for self-advocates for emergency education. And then the Red Cross Wildfire Pre-Planning Evacuation Training. This is more so geared towards residential adult facility staff, just to kind of prepare them for processes and procedures in the event of evacuation for a wildfire. And then a little blurb on high winds and disaster preparedness in general, and some supplemental resources down here. And I will drop this link in the chat, and that's all I have for you guys today.
Awesome. Again, as we've talked before, we want to ensure that folks realize that Hubert here is a resource for you all as service providers. And, you heard him verbally talk about some of these different things, but if you'd like to connect with him directly, if you've got questions, you're looking for support, please don't hesitate to reach out to him, and his information's on all of the links that are being dropped into the chat as well. All right. Thank you so much for that. Perfect, Hubert. And I want to just mention about rollover. So just real quickly, those of you that are not in case management, or if you're in case management, you certainly know about this, but our purchases for the fiscal year roll over to the next fiscal year. And in that case, if this is your first time being a service provider, many of you are aware what we tell folks all the time, which is that please make sure you have an authorization for service as a service provider before you provide your services. The only time when that can be a little bit challenging is during rollover. We know that there is a period of time, sometimes it extends up to almost 10 business days after the beginning of a fiscal year, where all of the purchases will end up getting onto the system. Again, if there is any issues that you have as it relates to service initiation for any of your clients, because you see that there's not an authorization in place, prior to determining that you do not want to serve that client because you do not have an authorization that starts effective July 2nd or whatever it's going to be, the July 1st, please reach out to the service coordinator. And if you don't reach out to the service coordinator, please reach out to their manager. We don't want to have anyone not served because we have any challenges related to this, but we also recognize that we as a regional center are very clear with you as service providers that we want to make sure that you have your authorizations in place first. Again, for those of you that have done this year over year, you recognize that sometimes there's a couple days where this may be impacted at the beginning of the fiscal year. But you've got our director of client services right here on, Michelle Johnson. So any service providers have questions about that at all? I mean, we've got client services managers like Toby and folks that are on here. Typically, we get through this pretty quickly and the authorizations are up there, but we know that sometimes there's a few days. So any questions, folks? Awesome. All right, that's rollover. I don't know. I got my email open. I'm waiting for Marty Emoto emails to come in to give me budget updates, but I haven't got one quite yet. If a SC sends us a screenshot image, can we take that in place of a POS? And back in my day, we used to do things like that. Michelle, is that still is that fine as far as what you're interested in?
I would say that for providers, what you want is you want that authorization number. So the screenshot often just shows that the purchase has been submitted to accounting. But I think as a provider, you might want like the actual authorization number showing you have an authorization to provide the service. I get that sometimes there is a lag, but I would not rely on that, service providers. I would rely on an authorization number. Oops, somebody said that there's feedback.
No, I know we bought you a new laptop, and for some reason it sounds like super tinny and horrible.
Oh,
Your sound.
again?
Sorry. Yep. Maybe it's your office. There's a ghost in there that's haunting your microphone. Come on down. Come down the hallway. The sound works fine in here. Sorry. So, service providers, reach out to case management. We do not want any vital service delays to go on. We also recognize that you want to make sure that you know your authorization numbers and the authorizations happen. As I mentioned, our accounting department, we just met with them right before we came here. Robin LeMay let Jordan and Scott and Helen and I know that they're going to get them processed as quickly as possible. So just again, this is one of the times where it deviates from our normal, statements that we want to make sure we have those in place. Rate study. So for the rate study implementation, we are still awaiting further guidance from the Department of Developmental Services on how we are going to go about implementing the rate study. There are, in essence, the information that we are still, we do not have the directives yet. We did have an opportunity to meet with DDS this week and talk a little bit more about it. And again, at this time, I don't believe that there's anything that the state is going to be looking at releasing right now. We did hear that there is additional information related to the service provider directory that went out to folks across the regional center system. And in that, there is some discussion that the provider directory is going to get started, and that there is a quality incentive aspect to the provider directory. But again, what they sent us on Tuesday from the Department of Developmental Services does not outline specifics about the extent to which the provider directory will prompt the quality incentive for the rate study implementation. Everyone's following, right? It just gets more and more confusing as we keep talking about it. But the challenge is that in essence, we still do not have the information that is needed in order for us to implement the rate study. If it does get approved in the budget to continue for implementation on July 1, we will not be able to, as a regional center, change over the authorizations that are needed in order to make that occur. Likely for your billing that would be on right around August, the beginning of August, when you do your July billing. So we'll continue to keep you updated on all the information that we have as it relates to it. We are encouraging the department, I will just share with you, to be open with the service providers as well as we do things like release these directives and provide the opportunity for the, oh, Michelle's coming down. Awesome. We can't switch cameras because the other camera is not working. Well, we can move you right over here. There we go. Bam. We're hanging out in John's office now. All righty. So with that being said, we're waiting for the state to give us more information, as I said, about the provider directory and the implementation of the rate study. For the provider directory, there is going to be some data cleanup activities that are going to need to go on before you guys receive your emails. So some of you service providers will know that we've shared the service provider directory will have an aspect of them sending out emails to you all. You'll be submitting that information back into our regional center. That is going to be a process that does not look like it's going to happen right away. And we will update you when we believe that we're going to start receiving those emails going out to providers. Again, if you as a service provider receive an email from the department about the provider directory, talk about it at Coffee with Community Services. Let us know that they're starting to reach out to you guys because we may not hear about it first. All right, I want to now touch on the master plan for aging. I'm closing my emails out because don't need to see all of that. But I'm going to share my screen again with the master plan for aging. And I understand, and someone that's more knowledgeable in this can let me know, but I believe that they are, let's see, can I verify you guys are seeing the master plan? You are, good. So my understanding is that the deadline that was going to go through till today to be part of the work groups has been extended. And now it has been extended, I see on here, until June 28th. And so, again, this gives you an opportunity as a service provider or maybe a family member of people served to be able to be part of the committee work groups for the master plan for developmental services. Again, this is going to be addressing, the overall direction of developmental services in the state of California, and they've broken the work groups down. I shared with folks before about what some of the different work groups are, but this is the application itself, and these are the groups. It is individuals and families experience person-centered service systems they trust. Individuals receive timely, inclusive, and seamless services across all service systems. Individuals and families receive services from a high quality, stable, and person centered workforce. Individuals and their families experience consistent, transparent, accountable, and data driven systems that focus on outcomes. And individuals are entitled to lifelong services with adequate resources. The reason why I kind of continue to bring up your participation in these types of work groups is that I participate in these types of work groups. And it's very helpful for me when there are service providers in those work groups that are very familiar with the day-to-day service delivery challenges that go on. Having clients in these groups, having family members in these groups is really important. But again, that's the reason why I promote things like this to you all as service providers, is that I just want you also to, and I'm going to drop it in the chat, which is what you can fill out the Survey Monkey, so that you also can lend your voices to this. Any questions about that? Any other comments or anything? Are folks thinking about signing up for some of the work groups maybe? Hopefully. Yeah. Nodding heads, right on. Thank you guys. Awesome. Alrighty. Deadline extended. I'm going to share DDS's website real quickly, and I just want to go over quickly with folks upcoming activities here. So I'm going to share my screen. And alrighty. So we're seeing DDS's website, right? Yes? All right. Very good. People are nodding. Awesome. So on here, we have the upcoming events. Their event calendar is right here at the top. And we know that we have the upcoming employment work group meeting. So that's going to be on the 24th at 1 o'clock. We want to encourage people, to participate in that one. I know, I think, who participates in that like regularly? Like Medis typically, I think we'll go into that meeting sometimes. I know that Carol Watillo will be in that meeting. The employment work, the DDS. I know some of you different providers will log into those DDS meetings as well. But just want to encourage you to get into those meetings as well, so that you can be part of the statewide discussion as it relates to some of your specific service codes that you have. So again, if you're very interested in employment services, you may be interested in participating specifically in the employment work group for the Department of Developmental Services. Additionally, on our agenda, due to the budget not quite coming together yet, we're still kind of waiting for updates as it relates to that, and we believe that it's going to be impactful for folks. We're going to be delaying the release of our July newsletter until we can get a little bit more information in there on the budget itself and be able to share that with folks. It used to be that we would get, our budget would come out and then we'd get a budget analysis letter from the department. That never came last year. So we're still awaiting some guidance on operationalizing some things from last year's budget, but at least we should have a little bit better of an idea after the first of the month on what the upcoming year shows us for the budget. So we will be dropping that update into our newsletter and making sure that that gets out to you as well. All right. I am going to go over to my Alta events calendar, but I just want to make sure I still have Helen available. Let's see, we do. And then we have Sydney on too, Sydney Rupert. Hey, Sydney. So we had a little bit of an accomplishment that occurred recently, and I wonder if it's okay if we announce it here because I would like to congratulate you on your graduation. Can you share with folks what you just got finished with?
Uh, yeah, I just finished my master's in community development, like 2 weeks ago, I think it was. So finally done with that.
Where did you get your master's from?
UC Davis.
Right on. Sydney, we are very proud of you. I know we've had multiple times at Coffee with Community Services now where we've been able to announce people getting their master's degrees. And so just that is amazing. It is not an easy thing trying to do this job and finish up something like schooling. And so quite an accomplishment. And we are very proud of you and looking forward to using all of that great knowledge for our future community development here at the regional center. So congratulations, Sydney. All right, I'm gonna jump over to our events calendar real quickly. I feel bad, Jordan, a little bit because the last time we announced that for someone, they ended up getting promoted and they're not in our community services department anymore. But we like that part of it too. We like we love seeing that, and especially when folks exactly right, and we can bring all of that great experience that people have and really support the entire agency. So this is our upcoming events calendar. Is this a good place for Camellia for me to throw it over to you?
I think it is. Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
You sound perfect. Yep.
Okay. Okay. And I already have. Oh, well, thank you. I don't have to share.
I was going to say it's right there on our website, so might as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I mentioned a few weeks ago about a behavioral event that we were going to be hosting here at Alta, and that a flyer was to come. Flyer is here. It's been recently added to our calendar, as you're seeing. And if you could scroll back up to the top real quick, John.
I will.
Thank you. Okay. Just the title of it, Acceptance and Commitment Training, comes from a therapeutic model. Now there's a subset within ABA, and so this is called Inside ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, Enhancing Client Care and Staff Management. One-day workshop on July 12th from 9 to 4. The cost is $120. And CEUs, continuing education units, are being offered for board-certified behavior analysts and board-certified assistant behavior analysts at the undergrad level. If you can scroll down a little bit, show the picture of the gentleman, Dr. Jonathan Tarbox. He will be the presenter and trainer. And I'm going to just read you a quick notation about him, that he does have extensive clinical, teaching, research, and publication experience. And he is an associate professor at USC currently, among other things. So you can see with the flyer, there's an embedded link to register. Notice has gone out to people who've expressed interest in the behavioral field. And so I wanted to bring it here again so that you could see the flyer. And if you are interested in attending and earning CEUs, you are welcome to email. You can see on there, it was Laura Wiebe at the bottom, or you can send it to me and I can put my information in the chat again. So I believe that is it. If there's any questions about that.
I will just say that Jordan and I had the pleasure, and some of our other staff, of talking to the behaviorists that work at Alta about their level of excitement about bringing this particular trainer to Alta. And again, it's quite an exciting opportunity for folks, and I think people will really be looking forward to that. I'm sorry, did we mention a capacity? Is there any issues with capacity as far as
not at this time? I don't know the max number, but I know we're good. Last time I talked to Laura, so that's why we're still getting the word out for people to come. And he's cutting edge, ACT is cutting edge in ABA, so that's why they're extremely ecstatic.
Yeah, very, very cool stuff. All right, and so with that, speaking while we can still stay in the realm of this, and because it hasn't quite hit the website yet before I share the website, but Beverly, we're also going to be doing a vendor forum, right? Or excuse me, a vendor fair.
Yes, correct. So we have a behavior services fair that is proposed for Tuesday, August 27th. The time is to be announced. This will be in person at the Alta Harvard office, and service providers will need to register due to the limited capacity. And we're currently still ironing out the details, and we will keep everyone posted as we get closer to the date.
Excellent, thank you. So we'll end up getting that, and I'm going to share our events calendar. We just are started talking about this event this week, and so we're going to end up getting that one up on our calendar as well for August 27th once we land on the exact time. As we mentioned, please take a look. As Melinda mentioned, you can go on to our events calendar. It's very easy to find information here. That's where you can find the information for next week's events. We have the Being Michelle event and the Deaf Hard of Hearing Forum. It's going to be a big, busy day for a lot of us on Tuesday. And then we have a special board of directors meeting. We're going to be talking about the statewide FMS contracts. So if anyone's interested in hearing more about the statewide FMS contracts, I will say we're very pleased with all of the activities that went on. It's been a lot, but we've been able to get to a point where we are going to be awarding some startup funds to be able to bring some new FMS providers to our local area here. So we're very excited about that, trying to build up our overall capacity. So again, please take an opportunity if you can to check out our events calendar for all of our upcoming activities. This was the activity that Kinley highlighted a little bit earlier here with the ACT training, I think is what, yeah, ACT training. And then I know a lot of discussions are coming up about the Summer Institute for Neurodevelopmental Disabilities. So that information's on here too. And again, upcoming vendor forums. The hope is that as we get to the end of July, we'll have more information about the rate study implementation. So some of these vendor forums will be able to move forward. But we also recognize that for some of your service codes, we're going to need to schedule, obviously, meetings to talk about the changes that are going to go on with the rate study implementation as soon as we gather more information from the department on exactly what that's going to look like. All right. With that being said, can glance over to Michelle Johnson in my office and see if we have any other things that are going on that we want to make sure we just ask.
Well, I'll just answer Kate Halecki's question so you guys can hear me clearly. So Kate asked if we should rely or vendors should rely on screenshots of purchase of service. So my response to that is no, you should not. What you want as a vendor is an authorization number. So you want authorization that provides authorization for you to serve that individual. So I would not rely on a screenshot as proof of your authorization number. I hope that clarifies things.
So what would you recommend that they do when they don't have auths on July 2nd?
I would recommend that you have contact with the service coordinator to verify or confirm that they have rolled over your purchase. I do recognize that kind of gray period that we're going to go into for a couple of weeks, but you want verification from the service coordinator that the purchase has been rolled over.
All right. Any other questions? So next week, we're going to do our very best to give folks an update on the status of the budget and any additional rate study information that we have. Jordan, do we have any further announcements?
Do not believe so.
Alrighty, and I know we're going to be announcing next week all of our awards, right, for our CPP and CRDP contracts that staff are frantically trying to finish up as well. So I think that's what we've got for today, folks, and we will look forward to talking to folks again next week, which will be our last meeting of the fiscal year. And then as a reminder, we are looking at July 5th going dark on that day. And then we would be returning back to Coffee with Community Services that following Friday. All right. We hope folks have a great rest of their day, a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. See many of you Tuesday, hopefully, at the Being Michelle premiere.